One of the most anticipated games of 2026 just got a huge gameplay reveal, an awesome dev interview where we got a ton of different information, as well as a hint at when the game is actually going to be releasing. So in this video, we are going to go over everything we know so far about Phantom Blade Zero, what we can expect from the game moving forward, and when the game should release. Now, Phantom Blade Zero is being marketed as an action RPG Souls-like combination that has Souls-like elements, but at times will also feel more like a Witcher game or a very large Baldur's Gate. With every single move that you can do within the game brought to us by motion capture and real kung fu, Phantom Blade is going to be one of the most fun and cinematic games that we have seen in a very long time. The time and hours that have been painstakingly put into the game by S-Game to ensure that we can have a product to be proud to play and they can have a product to be proud of selling is duly noted. Now, one thing that we found out from the interview with the director of Phantom Blade Zero is the fact that there are 3 levels of completion for Phantom Blade Zero. Now, what he meant by this and what he went on to explain was the fact that on your first playthrough, he expects the majority of players to play 30 to 40% of the game, and you will literally miss half of the content, which is why going back through the game on New Game Plus is going to allow you to experience the full game. There is so much here in Phantom Blade Zero, and there are areas that you can completely miss in the game. In fact, the director of Phantom Blade said that the current game that people were playing at Gamescom was actually an entirely optional level that you didn't have to play at all. Yet everything is meticulously and painstakingly put together in order for players to have the literal best experience playing their game as they possibly can. Now, as far as where you can play the game or download the game in general, you will be able to play it on Steam, Epic Games, PS5, and the PS5 Pro. There are no current plans for the Xbox to have Phantom Blade Zero, although that could change down the road, similar to how Black Myth Wukong finally came out on Xbox about a year and some change later. But for now, Xbox players, you do have to be a little bit sad because you will not be able to experience Phantom Blade Zero like the rest of us. Now let's talk about weapons for a second, because this is really what the director of the game wanted us to focus on, was that different weapons from Chinese kung fu and culture are going to be making an appearance in this game, and Phantom Blade Zero is the first Chinese game to really bring these type of weapons to the main stage. So with that being said, the director noted that there's going to be 30 main weapons and over 20 secondary weapons. How you will use these is that you can put together a set of 2 primary and 2 secondary weapons in order to fit your playstyle best. There are so many different weapons in this game and so many different ways to use them. If you want to do a massive heavy build where you have a giant sword and a giant axe, you are more than welcome to do that. And if your build is much more of a dexterity player, then you can use something very similar to the Curseblade Cirques that we see in Elden Ring, or small daggers that attack very, very fast. Either way, there's going to be a play style of weapon play for you in Phantom Blade Zero with a ton of different combinations that you can use to fit how you want to play. And on that same note, there are going to be a ton of different play styles for you to use as well. If you want to be a hack and slash, there are weapons and a play style for you to use there. And if you want to stealth through the entire game, that is also an option for you, using something like a bow and very small daggers to do assassinations with. Now, a quality of life update that you're going to find in Phantom Blade Zero that you really don't find in that many other Souls-likes is the fact that there's going to be a map that's going to guide you from one location to another. The dev team didn't want to be cryptic with anything in their game in the same manner that a lot of Souls games are. There are going to be a lot of hidden items. However, in Souls games, typically finding those items or following the storyline of different NPCs is very, very vague, and it's very easy to miss quest steps and miss quests entirely. S-Game didn't want that to be the case for Phantom Blade Zero. There are secrets for sure, but they never wanted you to feel lost or unable to progress in their game, so they added features that will allow you to maintain your path in Phantom Blade Zero. For example, there is a map that as you progress through the game will unveil more and more locations, allowing you to figure out exactly where you are and where you need to go next. This game isn't about trying to find your way. Moreover, it's much more about them being able to showcase their absolutely intense and amazing looking combat that they so desperately want all of us as a player base to enjoy. And believe me, from what I've seen, I absolutely cannot wait to get my hands on this game. The developers really want you to explore the Chinese culture through not only their weapons, but the lore that they've set up within this world. So that is a few things they really wanted you to focus on while playing the game, rather than where the heck you are. Now, finally, I want to discuss when the game is going to be released, because all we have right now is a confirmation that that date will be announced by year's end of this year. So if I had to guess and speculate, and believe me, I'd love to hear your thoughts down in the comments below, I would assume that we will get a release date right around Christmas of this year in Q4, and we will be getting a spring playable date for the game sometime between Q1 and Q2, right before the summertime. That would make the most sense to me, but in my opinion, wait longer to release this game to make sure everything is taken care of. Unreal Engine 5 has been notorious for being absolutely abysmal for game releases, whether it be because people's PCs or PlayStations can't handle it, whether it be there's bugs in the system that still need to be worked out. Take as much time on this game as humanly possible so that we can get a polished and refined product at launch, so that Phantom Blade Zero doesn't suffer the same fate as Wu Chang Fallen Feathers, being completely unplayable in the first 24 hours and having the game tank and die within the first week. But guys, I want to know your thoughts down in the comments. Are you guys excited for Phantom Blade Zero? As a Souls player or Souls-like enjoyer, are you guys going to be hopping on the Phantom Blade Zero hype train in order to play this game as soon as possible? I feel like the combat is going to be the hardest thing to get a hold of, because as a Souls-like and Elden Ring enjoyer, typically our combat consists of slashing and then rolling and then slashing again, whereas in Phantom Blade Zero, it looks like we're going to be button mashing similar to first Berserker Kazan. But regardless, I am still very, very excited for what S-Game has been cooking up for years, and I have faith that S-Game is going to release a product that we can all be proud of and watch as another Chinese game comes out and absolutely crushes the Souls-like and RPG market. But guys, there you have it. That is going to be it for all the information that we have just received. The new gameplay reveal, the release date or hopeful release date of early next year, and all the information we know so far. If you like this type of content and want to see more of it, make sure to like the video to let me know. Also subscribe on your way out. And until next time, guys, stay safe, enjoy the game, and I'll see you in the next one.